So I got back from camping. I still have a huge mess everywhere that I need to clean up. Uh, I got back like, yeah, what day is it? I got back 2 days ago. Um, but the thing I wanted to discuss was something that came up uh, while I was biking on this trail, and I thought I was gonna die. So that's good. Um, and I don't. Yeah. Um, I was thinking about how like you shouldn't need you being like humans. But like we shouldn't need, you shouldn't need, I shouldn't need, and I don't think everyone does need this, but like to have like near death experiences in order to feel the elation of life, to feel happy to be alive, like really happy to be alive, not just like, oh, I wrote in my gratitude journal and I'm glad that I'm get to experience this, and no, but like it's an interesting balance of just like it just comes to that thing of contrast of like, well, if you're in a pitch black room and you have your phone flashlight, it might seem like it is the sun. But obviously, if you have your phone flashlight outside, you don't notice it, right? So like, if you have it outside in the middle of the day or whatever, when there's already light out, so it becomes one of those things of like contrast as well, of just like, yeah, in contrast to just like just existing and just being out of a dangerous situation, being like, wow, I'm really happy to be alive, I'm so excited, I'm so like whatever, but you take that for granted on a daily basis because of what you get used to. And I think even like it becomes one of those things too, it's like it's amazing what you can get used to. And I think if people were like rock climbing or something like that, like if they did it once and there was a situation or whatever, maybe they'd be like, oh wow, like it's pumped to be alive, versus they do that every weekend and then it just becomes a part of their norm. Um, and I don't know. I don't want to be in a situation where I take this for granted. I think the gratitude journal helps with that when I actually make time to write in it. And I think I left it behind for a whole month once, but have written in it recently again. But yeah, I was just on this bike trail and I was just like, man, am I going to make it back? There's bear tracks, there's this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just like exhausted. Um, and it was just one of those things of like the elation that I felt the first time that it happened 2 years ago was much higher than this time. And part of it was because like I kind of know where I am. Like I'm sure I'm gonna make it back. I didn't have the same amount of doubt, um, but there was still this element of danger that I was just like, this is too much, and I don't want this, and I just want to be back home, and I just want to like, be back in the car and whatever. And then I started thinking of like, why do like I don't know. It's just an interesting balance. It's just like the universe is magical, and just like having that like um, kind of like that's like a very natural thing. I think it's just like, oh, that's like a natural high of like you had a near death experience or what you thought was or whatever your perception, and then you were fine, and so now you have this natural high or this natural or this happiness, this joy, elation of being alive. And I think that that's really interesting. How that it naturally balances out, like that happens that way. But it's I just like wish that at least for me, and again I don't know, other people might feel this, but I wish that for me I could have that amount of like natural high or happiness to be alive more often. And I'm trying to think, and I guess sometimes when I make art, I feel that for little bits. Like it's different because it's not like a relief. It's not in contrast to near death at all, right? Like it's not in contrast to that, but it's almost like a certain amount of physical activity. Like if you get like a runner's high, that could be like kind of up there. But it's without the context of like I'm happy to be alive. It's just like, man, I'm so happy. Or like when I make art, sometimes I'm just like, again, there's a physicalness to it as well, but I'm just like in the pocket and I'm not thinking about anything and I'm just feeling and that's it. And I feel that natural high, but it's still not in the context of I'm feeling happy to be alive. Like sometimes I think like, man, what a beautiful day. Like if I'm happy, like what a beautiful day. Like just happy to be alive. Like I think that might be a close part. It might be like, yeah, I'm leaving the studio to go and run an errand or grab some lunch or go for a walk or something after I feel really good about painting, and it's a gorgeous day, and I'm just like, man, I'm psyched, and that just doesn't happen nearly enough, and to me, and I assume for a long time like that's just a thing that not a lot of people have, like not all, people just don't get that often, but I think it's definitely specific to the person, and I think that I don't want to get too stuck on that because it's a very extreme feeling. And I just like, why do I need that? Like, why do I feel like your brain has an equilibrium that it tries to balance sometimes? And I don't remember if I've talked about this before, but I was listening to this podcast about a year ago or so, and they were talking about like, there was this psychologist or psychiatrist, I can't remember, and she was talking about like, she's like, I would rather just like do nothing all the time. Like, I don't want to do anything special. I don't want to go on vacation. I don't want to do anything because when you have this high, you come back and your brain wants to reach its equilibrium, so it overcompensates and you're in a low. And it's not as simple as being like, well, you were busy doing this, that, and whatever, and then you come home and you don't have anything to do or you feel bored. It's like, no, your brain is trying to like get back to its natural state, but everyone's natural state is a little bit different too. So I don't know. It's one of those things of like, man, I just kind of wish I was happier, like as a neutral, right? And I think there's certain things I can do to put myself there because I can lower my anxiety and other feelings and like deal with other feelings like sadness better, or just like set myself up for the day by like exercising in the morning and whatever, and putting that foot forward. That definitely helps lower my anxiety and increase my happiness, for sure. And so again, I don't want to get stuck on like that extreme elation of life to be alive. But it's a beautiful feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. But it's just interesting that for me, it's rare that I can reach that state of elation in a pure sense without having it directly contrasted to the event prior that was near death.